Daniel. Daniel. You got it today, man. Looks like one more day where Chardonnay's not going to get the that little cute hashtag diagonal line. And Diego is he's way behind y'all, man. Oh, we can't forfeit points. Points are non-transferable. I think you missed the fine print where it said on-time points are non-transferable and non-saleable. We're good, man. Welcome, Mike. Welcome. Just started. I just turned on the live, so just getting here. I'm still sweating. This place is hot in here. I gotta run that AC for a couple minutes. Use the big 720 CFM fan to blow out the heat from out of here. I don't have like an exhaust fan. But welcome, y'all. Appreciate you being here. We're getting ready. I chill a little bit on Thursdays. I don't try to work as diligently, but honestly, it's just another day. I got to cut this here. I also laid out the layouts for these other two posts for the through mortise, or the blind mortise, not the through mortise. So we'll get on that today too. Yeah, man. Yeah. Heather helps me, man. Like, I know it's very important to go to your channel and to talk to other folks that are doing similar things, and we appreciate you. You've been very supportive, so yeah, it's our pleasure to be up in there and enjoy just being an audience. Some days we need a TV guide. Yeah, somebody might be able to make like an internet live guide in 15, 20 years. Hey, maybe the print media comes back, after the apocalypse. Who knows? Yeah, we need like a schedule. This is what we do. We have a whole nother channel that we all run that just runs our live schedule. It's like a network. Like we're like the BuzzFeed of live streams. Let me get my coffee. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I say things sometimes in jest or joking, but seriously, if that was executed properly, that's a $1 billion idea, man. Think of I've been watching previews for movies. I like film, but I can't tell you how sick and tired I am of remakes. They're not doing anything new. All they're doing is remaking everything. Me and Heather and I, excuse me, were talking about this yesterday. Has to do with intellectual property, and they want to own the rights to everything they make. Even though these film companies, they own rights to stuff that they're never going to make into films. What they're trying to do is just cash in. Cha-ching, they know they can make a 2% profit if they spend $250 million. A 2% profit is, let me see, 2% profit at 250 million is actually only 2.5 million. But if you know you're going to bank that, it's not a bad thing. Let's say you make a 10% profit on 250 million, you make $25 million on a film that you didn't do any work for. All you did was just throw your money behind it. Anyway, all of this film stuff makes me think that that film is, like, unfortunately, a dying medium. Having made a film and entered it into numerous festivals and even had some awards, I realized that no one really cares about film. Kevin Bacon did a commercial the other day where he was out on the street trying to convince people to go to the movies. Of course, that's in his own self-interest. He's an actor. He's a film actor. Where is the attention going then? I would propose that the attention is going to social media, short form videos, vertical live streams, and things like that. That's what I say is probably what's going on. But welcome to Dad's Workshop. Since we're a little bit low on people, I'm not gonna sit here all day and wait. Chardonnay, unexcused absence. Too much dad, not me. Maybe you. You mean like this? Is that what you're talking about? Too much of this? No cap. Too much of this? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, that may be legal in your state, but it's not in mine, so law-abiding citizen. I'm not a lawbreaker. Or am I? Well, you know, I do have, and this is not the same thing, but I do have a playlist that's like 30 hours long right now. It's actually gotten a number of views. Hopefully not just my parents. They don't watch my stuff, honestly. My parents don't even watch my videos. Occasionally, my dad will one will pop up on his alerts like that he's interested in, like he liked the soap video that I made on how to make soap. He had never seen it done before. So I actually have owned that early on. I made a decision not to include my friends and my family that much in what I'm doing. I really wanted to do it on my own. So I'm gonna think on that. Just, yeah, because it's like basically like there are already podcast networks, so it's kind of in the idea of a podcast network. Some of these podcast networks have huge like umbrellas that cover a lot of areas, and these guys started, you know, they're younger than me or my age, and they started making one podcast 10, 11 years ago, and their podcast took off, so they started actually hiring other people to do other related podcasts, and now they own this network, this media network basically, and they don't really talk as rich as they actually are. They still sound like modest people, but with that network under their belts, they probably are making lots and lots of money. I want to mention one thing before I go on to the woodwork. I was listening to a podcast on Spotify. I don't have a paid Spotify membership anymore, so I don't know if that affects this. I canceled my paid Spotify membership. Shout out Spotify. If you want to sponsor me for a free membership for a lifetime, then we might be able to talk. But I canceled it, and I now listen to podcasts on there. No problem. It's hardly any different at all. But one of the podcasts I listen to is a nationwide podcast with major professional athletes as guests. And when I listened to it today, I looked at the poll. There were 0 votes on the poll of a major podcast. The media market is unevenly saturated, I think. What we have to find if we create something like that is we have to find a way that we're angled so that we don't get washed up, lost in the sauce with these other ideas. Basically, we have to somehow separate ourselves out. So yeah, the Spotify poll they put on, which was related to who would win an NBA game today. Now, this is one of the more popular sports podcasts, mind you. 0 votes. That kind of gives me an idea of how many views they get, you know. Anyway, let's do some wood stuff. We could do any of this stuff, man. The world is our oyster. All we got to do is just keep doing what we're doing, in my opinion. Looks like tonight might be a little slow, but the lighting is good. I haven't had any connectivity problems. So let's start pulling tools out and sawing stuff and see if maybe my numbers don't go up a little bit. Yep, Irish coffee. Just a wee jolt of creamer in there. Just a wee jolt of creamer. All right, so this is a blind mortise, so it's basically cut like a dado. We have basically a shoulder and a pin. Very simple design. We talked about this a little yesterday. Chardonnay, unexcused tardy. Boot Chardonnay from the chat. Heather, she's no longer welcome here. Don't even talk to me, Chardonnay. Don't even talk to me. How dare you? Let me get my other saw. This thing's kind of, I don't know if I bent it or what, but it's not putting a straight line in it. Let me use my other saw real quick. Let me see, what's Chardonnay's first message? Go big or go home. Irish coffee on a Thursday. So we come into class late and we got jokes and we have comments to make. So first of all, Chardonnay, I don't know if I, ever have any history. If you have, I need to look through my paperwork and see if you have any disciplinary history, because that, I don't know. We need to, we're going to have to, I think we need to schedule a conference. That's what we need to do here. Schedule a conference. I'm getting a little bit of flaky wood here, so feels like there's a knot in this one. And I know there's a knot on the other side, but it feels weird, really weird. The wood doesn't feel right. Let me move my coffee so I don't spill regular coffee all over everything. Spill that regular caffeinated beverage all over everything. So I'm a little bit to the right of that line there, and I don't like that. It's better than being to the left of it. Can y'all see this well enough? Should I zoom the camera in? You got this little bug with zooming in where you can't zoom back out. Welcome to Dad's Workshop, folks. If you're new, hit that like button, subscribe. Check out Mike is Making Stuff channel also. Who's here? I think Ruiz and Gandara, the other guys in the chat, also have channels, so check their channels out too. Maritime law. Honestly, man, international shipping companies abide by rules, but there is no international law per se. Whenever someone is arrested and charged with some sort of crime in a country that they didn't commit a crime, let's say war crimes are actually a war crime. In my opinion, to put somebody on trial in a country where they committed no crime is actually a war crime. But what I'm saying is maritime law, or the ocean, is no man's land. So in reality, you can put as many laws and things as you want on the ocean, but the ocean is going to be a lawless place unless you're going to use your teeth, which in the case of the United States Navy is the ultimate teeth, is that they have the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. They have hundreds of nuclear powered and nuclear armed subs that can launch intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles from 1,000 feet under the ocean or whatever. They can launch a nuke from under there. They're poised to do that at any time. That's why these countries don't really mess with us. But the fact is that we're not going to pull the nukes out because somebody harvests whales from the ocean, right? Even though whaling is illegal, all the countries of the world, pretty much besides Japan, agreed that they wouldn't whale, right? So Japan still does, but they do it sneakily. And most countries in the world abide by that law, but Japan has never cared much for what other countries have done as far as imposed laws on them. We imposed a lot of rules on Japan over time, and they've all been ignored. But anyways, welcome Japanese folks if you're in my chat. I have nothing against the country of Japan. I have great respect for the Japanese culture. Ferocious, actually. All right, so here we go. We got this little thing cut here. A little slow on a Thursday. I want to figure out what is going on that we get these massive numbers on some Thursdays, and then I don't know what it is. We'll figure it out. Let's make a little stop cut. It might actually remove material when we do this, but we're going to do it anyway. You can see right here. If you could see up close here, you would see I need to take that shoulder back a little bit. Glad we're making progress on the bed, All we can do is just keep doing our thing. We just keep doing our thing. If you build it, they will come, like Field of Dreams. And I love doing this. It's very satisfying to do woodwork. If people learn how to do it, man, it's an extremely satisfying craft. I do have a big knot here, I saw this when I was laying out the marks, and I figured that this knot was going to be a bit of a problem, but it's okay because we're going to do it on the live stream, and I'm going to have to navigate it on here, show people how I deal with these really annoying features of the wood imperfections. Edmundo. Yes, Southwest Asian, correct. Syria is in the southwestern part of Asia. Usually it's not, you would delineate those two places by saying East Asian or Southwest Asian or South Asian. For Indian people are South Asian. If you are Southeast Asian, you're from Cambodia, Laos, or Thailand. I don't know if Tibet counts in that. That's more like Central Asian. But yeah, Syria is in Asia, but it's in Southwest Asia or the Middle East. So then I got a question for you, Eddie, since you know this stuff and you're pretty smart. Where does Europe start and Asia end? I mean, really, in your opinion, because a lot of people will say it's different stuff. I'm going to take a small thin chisel here and punch at this knot. And I kind of want to I'm going to turn the vise a little so y'all can see it. There's a knot right here, and it's in the part that I'm removing. So I'm going to punch some holes in this knot. Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm just going to zoom you in without zooming you in.
I just want to kind of perforate this knot. I'm going to try to blow out below that line, which I really don't want to happen. I'm going to try to mitigate that as much as possible by kind of loosening up the area. And even if I can kind of whittle it out there or push it out, pieces of it out, that's fine too. Kind of like doing extra stop cuts, like we've talked about stop cuts on here a lot, one of the key techniques. But what country though, Eddie? What country is the beginning, and there's been wars in these countries for Morocco is an African country, also an Arab country, North African. It's not a bad guess. It is a country where they are predominantly Muslim. It's pretty much considered the beginning of Europe, right? And it always has been. I'll give you kind of a little hint. This area of the world, in the Middle Ages, there were constant wars between the Magyars, which are the Huns, and then the Turks, and then another group of people called the Wallachians, and then another group of Saxons that lived in Eastern Europe, because there's German-speaking people all over Europe. That's why Hitler did so well in World War II. He mobilized all the Germans. Can you think of a country that has a Muslim majority? It's right smack in the middle, sometimes referred to as the Fertile Crescent. Turkey. That's it. Turkey. Turkey is technically a European country. At least it's always been referred to as one. It's the end of the Middle East, the beginning of the Fertile Crescent. Oh, I didn't see Istanbul. Sorry about that, man. Istanbul would be the capital of Turkey, so yes, that would be correct. Yeah. The Turkish have always been a militarily powerful, large population in an important area of the world since prehistoric times. The biblical Noah was probably in that area. Also, if you read the Epic of Gilgamesh, Utnapishtim, who's the old man in that story, he's probably the same person as Noah. It seems like they're the same person. So, yeah, Constantinople. Is it Istanbul or Constantinople? Is it Istanbul or Constantinople? Nobody's business, but it's a Weird Al song. Is it Istanbul or Constantinople? They speak Aramaic at your church? That's a dead language. All right, what I was going to say is um, the Syrians, the modern Syrians, got their name from the ancient Assyrians, which were one of many groups of legendary Mesopotamian people. The main groups, and I'm not Googling this, I was trying to type something in the chat, but we're talking about several groups: the ancient Babylonians, the Assyrians, which is where Assyrians got their name from. The other Mesopotamian groups would be the Akkadians and I guess the Persians were also there, but different group. Same region, different group. Babylonians, Assyrians, Akkadians, and Sumerians. Those are the Mesopotamian groups. Syrians are probably descended from all of them, but they got their name from the Assyrians, which were an ancient Mesopotamian group with a advanced civilization and culture. Like the other groups in Mesopotamia, they had underground plumbing, like indoor plumbing, things that no other parts of the world had. Pretty amazing things. Written language, cuneiform, written law. They were pretty far ahead. You're getting me off on these tangents, man. Well, agriculture was invented in the Fertile Crescent, but we're talking about the Fertile Crescent being where Turkey is now, in that area. But we're talking about agriculture was invented in prehistoric times. So the first evidence of agriculture is in the Fertile Crescent or Turkish region, I believe. That's where we know that they were like taking like einkorn wheat and growing einkorn wheat. I mean, you have to be kind of a historical agriculturalist to kind of follow that, but it is important because humans and their grains and their fields. Eddie had me watching something last week that was talking about how basically cultivation was pulling weeds from around plants that were edible, and basically letting wild plants grow and getting rid of the undesirable ones. Notice my focus is right here around this knot. This would have already been chiseled out if it wasn't for this knotty spot here. I knew this would be quite a challenge. I said, hey, I'll do it on the live, no problem. Because I probably, if it was by myself, I probably would have just taken it off or whatever. Oh, don't tell me we're getting blurry now. Yeah, we got a heavy storm right now, so hopefully I've got backup internet going. Hopefully we don't have any problems. It's a little blurry, but hopefully we'll clear up in just a moment. So what that reminds me of is the the people that live in that mountain in Israel. There's still Samaritans down there, and they still speak their original language. Like it's some Aramaic type language, or it's related to Aramaic. It's not Hebrew, and it's not Arabic, and it's not Farsi. It's not Persian. They're kind of the last bastion of the peoples. Besides, there are Palestinian people there too, and their families have been there since the Philistines, right, of the Bible. Philistines, Palestinians sound similar for a reason. But also the Samaritans still live there, man. It's one of the only groups of Jews that actually still lived in Israel for the entire Exodus period. Yeah, my brother would probably agree with you about that. This is how, and honestly, man, the English destroyed the Middle East. Basically, they destroyed Iraq. The reason Iraq still has problems to this day is because of the English colonialism there. Their king got murdered. That king was just a puppet for the English. So the guys that murdered him were the precursors for Saddam Hussein, which were more like secular Arabs. They didn't really want to rule from a theocratic perspective. They weren't that into Islam. And then that movement went away when Islamism came around actually came around in the 60s. Sirhan was basically an Islamist, but when Islamism and religious a lot of converts in the 70s and 80s, and the extreme religious parties in Saudi Arabia started taking control, which those are the most the biggest threats as far as terrorism is concerned. The Saudi government, man, the people that run the Saudi education system, the people that have all the money in Saudi Arabia, they're in bed with the worst terrorists in the world. So it's not really these countries like Yemen, and it's not the Iranians, it's not Lebanon, it's not Hezbollah. The worst ones in the world are the ones that are being funded by Saudi Arabia, and they're not even Shiite Muslims like what they try to say. They're actually Sunni. This is not to say anything about that, but the point is, I don't want to get too deep into politics. The Arabs also conquered large parts of the world, and I can give you another example, Eddie, of kind of the opposite, where the Arabs kind of destroyed the culture, and that's North Africa. The Arabs conquered North Africa in the Middle Ages, and they eliminated whatever cultures were in Africa, whatever religions were they tried to smash them. They enslaved the people in the countries. But in slavery in the Middle Ages that Islamic people practiced, if you started reading the Quran, they were required to free you. So in the Quran it says if you carry a slave, if you hold a slave, if they start to read the Quran or convert to Islam, you have to release them. So how these guys in Africa eventually became released was they learned to speak Arabic and learn the Quran. And so you have large populations of people in Africa, North Africa and West Africa, who have been Arabic-speaking people and Islamic for almost 1,000 years. But the culture of Egypt, Libya, Algeria, those countries had their own culture before the Arabs came and smashed it. The Arabs were the first colonials they had in Africa. Then the Arabs and the Africans fought the Europeans for control of Africa. So, yes, I was just reading about that. I forget what that period is called. It's called the Almoravid period. Almoravid, the period in Spain when the Spanish royal family was Islamic. It was over 100 years. I was watching Spanish Premier League La Liga soccer today, and I looked in the crowd and I was like, yeah, these people, they're very, much of the crowd was very, very dark and swarthy, and I'm like, yeah, man, these people, they've got Arab in their ancestry. If you're in southern Spain, you've got North African and Arab ancestry. That's fine. Hey, we're just discussing comparative religion and how it relates to culture. We're not vouching for any particular religious belief, Mike, just so you know that. Yeah, Eddie is Syrian, from a Christian Syrian family, from an Orthodox family. Which, the Syrian Orthodox, like any Middle Eastern Orthodox church, they're very strict, like Catholics. Only other people I knew with the last name Salibi were from Lebanon. So they told me the last name means cross, of the cross, or something in Arabic. So if you have that last name usually, and you are from Middle East, you're usually from a Christian family. I was just talking to Heather today about how names always meant something to me. Taoist, huh? That's cool. I don't know that much about Taoism. I read this book called The Tao of Pooh that was talking about how Winnie the Pooh is like an example of like a Taoist. You can like use Winnie the Pooh to kind of like decode Taoism. It was one of the first books that Americans wrote, I think, on Taoism. Unless you're joking. I don't know if you're joking, Mike. You might have to tell Chardonnay what's going on, Eddie. Omnist? Like, is that like a deist? I'm kind of taking the slow route to this. You can see I'm getting down towards my line, but because of this knot, it's best to just do it real gradually. Because of the way it's making the grain wonky, as I say all the time. Taking care of these knots, if you can do it kind of gradually, once you've kind of gotten it flat, keep your plane flat here so that you're just shaving off layers. It's going to give you a better advantage when you start trying to take material off here, because it's going to want to chunk up and take more than I want, which I always call blowout. It's kind of just my name for it. You think your Knicks are going to win tonight, Eddie? Ruiz, who do you got tonight? The Knicks or the... Oh, man, my bad. Is he sure? Nah, they're playing tonight, dude. Right? Oh, no, OKC is playing tonight. Never mind. You're right. OKC is playing tonight. Who do you think is going to win that, Eddie? OKC or Denver? I keep going back and forth in my head. Yeah, I like to see the Knicks tomorrow. Eddie's right. Knicks don't play until tomorrow. Eddie, do you see the people at that game? Like, everybody in the floor seat is a famous person. I'm looking out in the crowd, and I'm a 42-year-old man, so Timothy Chalamet, I had to search in my brain. Wow, listen to that. Did y'all hear that? Jokic is a glob of mayo, man. Fat glob of mayo. Sorry, Jokic. He had a good game the other night, but before that, he just looked out of shape, man. Out of shape. I felt like if you put me on the floor, I would have got more assists than Jokic in the second. And not the last game because he did good, but the game before that, he just looked old and out of shape. He like somebody stole the ball from him and he just shrugged his shoulders. Like I've never seen that from a professional athlete. Well, I mean, I would imagine he was because he was a big guy. He's still chubby as an adult, to be honest. As soon as he leaves the NBA, he's going to be huge. Like, he's going to have to, like, have a dietitian. He's, like, working out all the time now, or supposed to be. He needs to do some cardio. He looked really bad in not the last game, but the game before that. It's easy to forget because then he goes and has one good game. This is how he makes the big bucks, man. He just, like, plays when he feels like it. December 15th, that's actually a good time to come to Dallas, man. If any time, I would love to go to an away game around Christmas. I've never been to Dallas, at the stadium. I've been to Dallas. That's what they call Reds, people from the DC area who like Dallas. They call them NBDs, never been to Dallas. Because they love Dallas Cowboys, never been to a damn Dallas game in their entire lives. They just like Dallas because everybody else hates them for it. Contrarian. But luckily, I was always another fan. I was always a Vikings fan, so I had stayed out of that for all the time. I had to worry about people always fighting about Dallas and the Redskins and all that all the time. Always an argument over that. Couldn't have cared less. As long as, hey, this is the teams I like. I like the Minnesota Vikings and anybody who's playing the Green Bay Packers. That's my favorite team. And now it's the Minnesota Vikings and anybody who's playing the Detroit Lions because the Packers are falling into nothingness. Why the Vikings chose to play 2 international games is a bit puzzling. But I do like morning football, you know. Oh, definitely talking about two-time NBA MVP Jokic. Watch the game before last. Watch it in completion. And watch how terrible he looks in that game, man. It is embarrassing. No one said anything about it either. Like, bro, just because he has a good game doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be checked when he has a terrible, lazy game like that. Like, if his team loses this round and gets knocked out and sent home, it's going to be a lot on him. You know? He's a leader of that team. Trying to straighten this shoulder out a little bit here. It's just a hair that needs to come off there. So Timothy Chalamet was at the game the other night, freaking out. And then I saw Timothy Chalamet at that game. Was that last night in Boston? Timothy Chalamet wearing sunglasses in the floor seat with a Knicks jacket on and combed his hair differently so that people wouldn't notice he was in there. The cameraman didn't even try to find him. It just swung by him, and I was like, oh, he goes to the away games too. So, but he didn't bring his girlfriend. So it was Timothy Chalamet at the Boston TD Garden. He's following that Knicks team around. He's committed to them, man. So apparently Chalamet's a big Knicks fan. Gonna be like the white iced tea, or white, what you call it, Spike Lee? Not iced tea. Spike Lee. He's gonna take Spike Lee's shine, carry the torch for him. He's getting old. Oh yeah, I know you're from Texas. You know the only things that come from Texas, two things. Steers and something else. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I didn't make that up. Don't cancel me. Don't cancel me. I didn't tell. Blame Stanley Kubrick and Matthew Modine for that joke. Luckily, I didn't say it. I'm just kidding about Texas, though, man. Texas is awesome. I don't know about Dak Prescott, though. I don't know how y'all are going to succeed with the roster you got. He gets too much money. Again, the knot is protruding, right? So it's causing problems as I'm trying to pare everything down. It's not paring down evenly with the other material. No, not me. Nah, if you're talking about me, nah, I was definitely not talking about that. It's a joke from Full Metal Jacket. It's an old saying that people used to say back in the day. Especially if you're from the South or the Midwest and you feel like Texas always tries to be the toughest. Only two things come from Texas. I can't say it though. It'll get me non-monetized. Just look it up. It's from Full Metal Jacket. Because Private Pile comes from Texas, I think. Or the other dude, texted. Haha. I guess if you count fake people like Pecos Bill and Sam Houston and all those guys that needlessly gave their lives at the Alamo for what? I mean, whatever. Dude, Austin is full of awesome places to go, dude. I've been listening to Blaze Foley, who is from Austin. He was like part of that Austin music scene back in the 80s, like the underground country scene they had there in the 80s. Love Blaze Foley, man. Probably the greatest American songwriter, in my opinion. Towns Van Zandt, also really good, man. Love Towns Van Zandt and Blaze Foley were best friends. They were both part of that same Austin scene. Yeah. Towns Van Zandt, when he would perform at the Austin Outhouse, uh, he was drugged up and drunk a lot. So Towns Van Zandt would be singing and forget something, and Blaze would, like, even though he was drunk and stupid, he would always remember lyrics. So Blaze would get up on the stage and sing until Towns could get his words back, man. True story about Towns Van Zandt and Blaze Foley. True story. Blaze Foley was murdered. Long story, I won't get into it, but he was trying to get his friend's VA benefits to him, and his friend's son was stealing his VA benefits from him. So he confronted the son, and the son shot and killed him. It was very sudden. The whole community in Austin was shocked. Even the news heard about it because he was like an up and coming guy. He had just sold a song to Merle Haggard. So he died. And before they even got a chance to do anything, apparently he was like the dad of the group, Blaze was. And Towns, to get drugs, apparently had I don't know, they did something where they sold off Blaze's main guitar. It was like his guitar. It was at the pawn shop, and he kept the ticket for it. And he told Towns if anything happened to him, that Towns could have his guitar. And Towns really wanted Blaze's guitar. So Towns and the other guys told the funeral director or the morgue people, they were still doing an autopsy or something. They said, well, he's got something of ours in his pocket or whatever. And I'm paraphrasing. And they were like, well, you can't touch the body. And so they buried Blaze Foley in his like the clothes he always wore. They all went to the service, but then Towns was from a rich Texas family. Towns was from the aristocracy. He wanted his guitar back really bad, so they all went to Towns' family farm and got a backhoe, went to the graveyard where Blaze Foley was buried, dug his body up, pulled the pawn shop ticket out of Blaze Foley's pocket, went and got the guitar, and all the songs that you hear written by Townes Van Sant after about 1989 were on that guitar. Everything he was playing was on that Blaze Foley guitar that they dug. They took the ticket out of Blaze Foley's pocket. Yeah, they dug him up. Now, they don't like talking about that, but like it makes a really awesome story, you know. That's how much they loved the guy. They knew he wouldn't even care. He would want them to do it, you know. He'd be like, well, dig me up. He used to sleep under the pool table at the Austin Outhouse when he would get too drunk. And whenever they would hit pool balls, it would wake him up. And he would start, he'd hit his head on the pool table and go back to sleep. So like one of Townes Van Sant's most famous songs he wrote on that guitar, and I wish I could remember it, Mike, but I cannot recall the exact song right now. This is actually looking real good here. Nice and square. Looks clean. Looks like it's at the line. We just have to test it out, you know. Yeah, Willie and you know, I was listening to Merle Haggard the other day, and I realized how similar Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard's voice were. Yeah, I love Willie Nelson, man. Big Willie Nelson fan. Yeah, that's the thing about Townes and Blaze Foley. They left a great catalog of. Neither of them lived very long. Both of them were what I would refer to as good old boy country song writers. Like, they were writers, man. They were the creators of good music. They weren't the guys in Nashville who looked pretty with a cowboy hat on singing it. They were the guys who really wrote it, you know. And there's guys like that to this day, like Chris Stapleton, I think, is one of those guys. You know, he's the only guy I think around that has that talent level, in my opinion. You know, and I'm not that much into modern country music, but when I hear Chris Stapleton, there's no denying that he has that whiskey-soaked voice, like Blaze had, and that good old boy like vibe archetype that Townes Van Sant and you know, Willie Nelson has it too, and Blaze Foley all had that. Welcome to Dad's Workshop, folks. Working on a blind mortise and tenon here. See, there's a little bit of knottage in here, so I had to work that. Kind of was difficult. I'm just sanding it so it's, when I try to put it in the mortise, it slides a little easier without catching and ripping pieces of wood off. This is really flaky too, this particular board. Remember, on Dad's Workshop, we work conventional lumber and accessible materials. We don't use oaks and walnuts right now because we don't have great access to those woods. We're using what we can find to make rustic style and you know, heirloom quality furniture. Yeah, I'm not a big Billy Strings guy. That's kind of like Mumford and Sons to me. A little bit like Americana. And I don't hate Americana music, but I would definitely put it in that category. Woodchucker, welcome. Welcome, Woodchucker. I didn't see you until now. If you've been here, I didn't notice. Sorry about that. Now, looking at it from this angle, just like a lot of the joints you cut, you know, you'll notice when you look at them from another angle, they're not completely square. So this did look good, but I got some pairing to do just to get it. Because these are really, it's really important that these sit flush in that joint because it's going to establish, you know, it's connecting the two side bents, the two side assemblies are connected by these boards. So it's important that they sit real snug in there. Real nice fit, you know. Love the chats though, guys. Love keep it going, man. We love talking about all kinds of stuff in here. Love the music conversations. Love that stuff. Oh, here's one for you all. Appalachian, what do they call it? Appalachian, what do they call themselves, man? Appalachian Homestead. If y'all go to their thing, they got this video they made, and I love them, so I'm a subscriber to their channel. But they got this video, and they said, did you know that whenever you hammer a peg into a timber frame, it makes the note A? Inaccurate. Not true at all, okay? And I can't help myself because I got a degree in music. So I put on this thing. I said, I love you all. I love the Woodwork channel. Love the work you do. I said, and this is me typing. I said, but the all wood does not make the sound. You're not trying to tell me that you think that all wood, when you hammer pegging correctly, makes it A. I mean, it's ridiculous. DYOR? Do your own research and find out that that is ridiculous. And Eddie, someone needs to go on their channel and question them. I stopped. I didn't want to get into a troll conversation with them. I was just like, well, it's incorrect, but I wanted to let you all know that. They got a great channel. Shout out Appalachian Homestead, but you're wrong about that. Different woods make different sounds. The size of the wood is going to impact the note. The video is cool because as they're tapping the wood with this peg with this mallet, it goes dum, 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 which is the first four notes of a major scale. So I indicated on a comment that though you heard dum, 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 those are whole step, whole step, whole step, half step intervals, but that they are not necessarily in perfect pitch with A440. So it doesn't mean anything because you made some notes. You made 4 different notes there, so how does it mean that you hit a perfect A? That just their video contradicts their statement. But it got attention, and there was lots of comments. They get trolled a lot. I think they make too much content. They're just always it's like TikTok on there, like the Jenkins family, man. Like I think they're just like, for good wholesome content, I think they just make too much. No offense if you guys are watching this video 2 years from now. Still love y'all. Not a problem. You guys do your thing, but I'm just saying, you know, too much. Taking a quick water break, folks. We're here at 55 minutes. We're at Dad's Workshop. Welcome to Dad's Workshop. hot out here. Started from not on the bottom. No. Maybe just a little up from it, but we're not on the bottom. We're here. Flip this around and work this other mortise. See how it's pretty square there, right? Pretty clean. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Y'all see that? Yeah, it looks like you can. Same deal with this. I think this one just needs to be cleaned up. I was kind of in a rush, where I was tired yesterday, I think, when we started this. So I just want to make sure that I clean this one up as I look. Same issue where it's a little bit tilted up as I look from the end of the mortise to the layout. And as you can see, when I'm going straight down here, it's pulling up material. So and on the camera angle, it does look like there's a, unless my eyes are deceiving me, like there's more of a gap here than down here, which means this is at an angle, which I don't love. Nathaniel, welcome. Appreciate you, Nathaniel. Appreciate the heads up. There's a lot of weight on this bench, though, but yeah, man, I mean, appreciate you coming to the Dad's Workshop. Glad to have you, Nathaniel. Shout out. The bench is on casters, man, so because it's like a studio in here, I got to be able to move my bench around, and so I sacrifice stability by putting it on these they're heavy-duty casters. I mean, they can hold thousands of pounds, but they are on casters. So right before this live, I turned all the casters outward so that it had the widest point of stability, and then I made sure that I was in the best position I could be in. But the casters create wobble, so sorry about that. Appreciate you being here, though, regardless of that. Thanks for coming to Dad's Workshop. Join the Discord. You can give me all kinds of tips. I do like tips. I do take tips too. You know, we try stuff here. Sometimes I try it reluctantly, and then say I told you so when it doesn't work. And never admit when it's you guys' idea when it works. It's my idea. See, that's how it works. That's how we do things around here. All right, Mike. Take care, buddy. I missed you. Missed you saying bye. Shout out Mike. Mike is making stuff. Check out his channel. Nice guy. Good content. Part of this community. Cough, horizontal argument. The biggest, the largest. I like that song too. Heather likes that song too. I mean, it's catchy. How can you not? How can you not like that? This is so funny. Thanks for coming to Dad's Workshop. Look like the likes are pretty good tonight. Click that like button. Let's get up to 20 likes tonight. Push this thing to the next level. Who's got the Riz, man? Who's the one with the Riz? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's what I guess. I always do stuff like that. I gotta throw shade a little bit. I mean, I'm gonna try it again. I don't think you guys were necessarily wrong. I'm gonna try it again, but like, kind of, I have some data behind why I do vertical live stream. Like, one of the things I do is always read my data, and one of the things is that many people access my channel through vertical live stream feeds and scrolling. So if they can see your face, they're more likely to be on there. If they're like way back in the background, you're tiny. I think that makes a difference. Oh, Woodchuck, you out of here, man? Take care, man. Have a great Thursday night. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, thanks for looking out for us. We're trying to take care of this Wi-Fi. Looks like we got little storms coming through, but we're hanging in there. We haven't had any disconnections yet tonight. I want to work these mortises too, because it looks like either the tenon or the mortise is too small, looks like, or the tenon's too big, which is okay. That's how we always end up here. But I am going to probably widen the mortises. I don't want to take any more material off these tenons. Secure your workpiece, folks. Do as I say, not as I do. I do collect rainwater, yes. That's what I used to make my soap too. I got a couple different rainwater catchment systems here. Is it the question for me about the rainwater? Because the answer is yes, if it's me. Or is that for someone else? Chardonnay or something? Or Eddie. Eddie probably collects rainwater. They got a huge garden there. All right, I'm going to switch over to the mortises and work those a little bit because these tenons are pretty square. And since they're on two different posts, I got to work each post individually. This is the tenon, the mortise I was talking about. Oh, I'm surprised you don't have rainwater catchment at your garden, man. I'm shocked about that, Eddie. We got to build you one, man. Plants love rainwater. And then when it's dry, you can give them that non-chlorinated water, dude, and they love it. Get a little gravity system going too, so you got a little pressure in there. Hello, Benjamin. Ben. No, don't push on that. Ben, out. You're right by my camera tripod. Out. Ben. Hey, I love you. I love you, Benjamin. Out, buddy. Ruff. Go out there and have fun. Go be a dog. Ben, out. Out. Go chase toads. Oh yeah, man. It's good for your soul, you know? My brother's getting his master gardener right now. He didn't even tell me. I had to find out from other people. You like that? Now he's still in here though, you know that. Y'all know he didn't leave. He didn't listen to me. No one listens to me here. I'm just ignored. I'm just paring or shaving away the edge a bit here until we can fit this tenon in. I want it to fit in straight too. So for some reason it fits in. I might put it in here vertically so we can try this in a vertical setting. You can kind of see how it goes in. It's not going to be how it's oriented when it's put in place. Let me take my wider chisel so I can take a couple wider swaths out of this. I wonder if one of these in these live streaming software, if you can have multiple cameras with a split screen. So I could have a zoom in camera and a camera on the whole action so people can see what I'm doing in detail. You know, I wonder if any of y'all know any of these streaming softwares, particularly the free one that I can't remember the letter sequence of right now. It's escaping me. Yeah, his name's Benjamin. He has a human face too. It's a dog with a human face. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Oh, it's so close. It's so close. You see how it's sitting in there? Try the other side just for giggles. This one's gonna fit. It's a little tall from top to bottom. I know what I gotta do here. I'm gonna take one chisel width from this top part here. And one from the bottom, basically like a millimeter or two off. I think that tenon is gonna fit. Has to do with the size of this mortise being just a hair small. OBS, that was what I was trying to think of. Thank you. Ooh, that smells good. I must have hit like a resin pocket in there. It's like it may be bottoming out on that side. Let me see. It's not going to go this way, but let me see how it turns. See, that shoulder almost comes down there on that, from that orientation. I wonder why it works that way. I mean, it would technically work that way also and be more centered, but I like to have it flush with the outside of the layout face like this. That's the ideal because it's a cleaner finish. So you see the layout face is here and this is flush with it. It would also be okay for it to be oriented this way, but I think I prefer it not inset, but against the frame like this. I think it'll make my brace layout easier if it's in there like this. And it almost fits there. I'm looking at the shoulder line here. It's almost in there, but you want this to line up because that's going to bear weight. So let's try a little bit more work on it. See if we can get it just a little bit more. Oh, listen to that. Y'all hear that? Birds are my friends here. Yeah, I have peppermint oil in this oil mixture I mixed. And I told Heather I thought it was repelling insects. I put it on it, all the time. It's a mixture of peppermint, argan, not argan, that other oil she has, and then tea tree oil. I use coconut oil as the base for it, and then beeswax in there, like a salve, and I put it on. So yeah, I do think the mint. I think mint works for the bugs, man. It's a really strong smell, and I have noticed the bugs haven't bothered me as much. So I agree. It's weird you think on the same level as me, man. But if that doesn't work, I don't mind using DEET because DEET works. Don't start talking about how DEET is dangerous. Don't start doing that. You know what's dangerous? Diseases spread by bugs that DEET can stop from biting you. That's what's dangerous. But if peppermint oil works, obviously, you know, it's an easier solution. It's a better solution. No one likes spraying chemicals on themselves if they don't have to. This is going to be perfect, man. We're going to have this fit perfect. It's a factor of depth. It's not deep enough, maybe. That's an inch deep. You know, I always cut things a little small, so it's possible my depth is a little short. So let me try adding a little more depth, taking a little more material out. I'm going to use this little chisel to try to get these corners because it seems like the sides are not coming out to the level that the other parts are. And then you get an uneven surface. So I'm going to take a little tap in each corner, and then I'm going to go around and do that at a right angle from those. I wish I could show you, but I'm making sharp cuts in the shape of an L in each corner so that when I chisel stuff out, I'm not going to miss those corners. It's really important that they stay square also. Like even here, I can see it's not square. Now I'm going to go about taking material out. I'm going to try to focus on these corners because they're where the material, like I said, is not coming out to the same evenly with the rest of it. This bottom shoulder is just a little uneven here. That's why you see me struggling with it, trying to get that level. Somebody asked me how much time it takes me to make one of these yesterday. I don't have a number, but I will say that if you take the amount, if you watch all the other videos, calculate all the time that it took to make me videos and double that or triple that, that's probably what it took me to make that bed. Plus the amount of time that those videos span, whether it's a month or 2 months or whatever, the total amount of time. Benjamin, out. Out. Ooh, I feel like the shoulder is close now. See how close it is right there? If I turn it around, just double check. See if it's the tenon. See, the tenon seems maybe what it is. Almost there, guys. Almost shoulder deep here. Shoulder needs to lay flush against it. Yeah, we do have great birds here too. We don't have to pipe in the sound like they did at the Masters. You know? Wow, so close. So close, guys. See that? So I can just set it right there. That's joinery right there. When these joints hold themselves together, that's when you know you're doing a good job at this. Now there is a slight bit of tolerance there. I got to fix that. But you see how we're getting this thing together. And then when the pegs go through here, when the bed's finally constructed, this ain't going nowhere. It's a great design, blind mortise. Love them. Works well for the bed too. Let me try the other side. Yeah, so that doesn't exactly fit. So the other tenon is maybe slightly smaller. And that's how it is when you hand carve these joints. They vary, but that's pretty daggone close, man. We're just gonna pare down a little bit of this joint on the inside here. I don't want to take any more tenon. So we'll just do a little more of what we were doing. Just paring down this right side here. Seems like that's working. There's a knot back there too, so it's tricky. Again, this side of the shoulder here is not exactly even either. I gotta do this here. A little deep is not going to hurt, but remember, we want to leave as much support wood as possible. And every joint that you cut in an individual structural member reduces the structural rigidity of the entire of that member. So every time you cut a joint, you have to be mindful of the fact that you're removing strength from the wood. All right, now I took a little more material. I'm going to try that joint one more time because I think it's going to fit. It's just a couple millimeters short of the shoulder touching over here. We want that shoulder to connect with this because that provides more support. We're going to call that good because I can feel it touching here. Maybe almost looks like it has a gap there, but look. Shoulders in place. Maybe worked a little bit more, but you see the other post is going to be the same thing. The face is going to have that other tenon in it. We're going to reorient that. We're going to make sure that's oriented correctly. I've got my layout marks on my other piece too over here to work on those as well. But that may be done on Monday because we're getting down to, what time is it? 6:50. We've been on for a bit. Oh, I see Benjamin laid down in the garage. But that's what we're doing here. We're connecting these posts, and so it's just about working that other mortise and then these two other ones that I got on the other two posts, and then making braces, and then showing you all how it connects. Everything connects. Oh, he's a pit bull. Yeah, he comes in here just to say hi because he loves me. Let's show Ben before we roll out. This Benjamin. See how pouty he is. Benjamin, you causing problems? Causing problems, Benjamin? He said yes. That's a yesing dog. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody being here for Dad's Workshop. I could stretch it on for a couple hours and we could dance between the numbers of people, but we're not going to do that because it's Thursday and we're relaxing, and we did a couple hours. We did an hour and a half or so. Everything's good. Appreciate y'all, Eddie, Chardonnay, Daniel, Diego, Woodchucker. Mike is making stuff. If I didn't say Eddie, Eddie also. And then there was a couple other randos that showed up today. Nathaniel. Might be it. So I said everybody, appreciate everybody being here. Love y'all. Hope you have a great weekend. Hug somebody you love. Appreciate every moment. And do the next right thing. This is Dad's Workshop.